Hi, Sandy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the ADK Rock and Metal channel, and today we are discussing all the important topics that come across our heavy metal lives. You've raised Kirk today to start with. Kirk, you've raised a question, which is: are modern metal bands focusing on the wrong revenue streams? Is their purpose now to sell T-shirts versus records? Would you like to elaborate on why you've raised this as a question?
Yeah, it was on a YouTube video. I never remember the guy's name. He's a Canadian guy with a mullet who's a guitar player and runs a studio. Really vibrant personality, tendentious, outspoken. And he actually said that as one of his bullet points. I think the video is called "This is How Facebook Has Ruined Music." But amongst that, a bullet point was, metal bands, you're focusing on the wrong thing. You should be aiming to sell T-shirts, not physical media. And it just caught me as a soundbite. So I was just intrigued. I'll go last. I was intrigued what you two would think of that, because you're both in bands as well.
The challenge here, I would say, is it's one of the only revenue streams that bands have now got. So you've got your concert tickets, but you need to be playing at a large level. So at a local level, your merch is your only revenue income.
Yeah.
So your CDs that you can sell at shows, but mainly it's your T-shirts and any other kind of merch you can. The problem you've got is your percentages of what you're actually going to make on those T-shirts. Unless you do, like a lot of bands, I've seen it with like Own Your Life, they will, which is a local band, will basically get a load of merch done, print it all off and have boxes of merch. But that means you're paying an upfront cost.
Yeah.
To try to get the cost of the T-shirts low enough so you can make a profit. But from our point of view, from a teller's point of view, we decided to go the opposite way around, which is buy a few T-shirts to sell at the gigs, but focus on online, where we have no upfront cost, but we make a smaller amount on actual percentage profit. Because if you're taking £500 and spending that on buying merch, that's £500 that's gone straight away, and you've got to wait until you sell all your merch. And guess what happens once you sell it? And you can go, yay, we've sold all our merch, we've made a profit. Yeah, but you've just got to buy another 500 quid worth, so that money's all gone again. So you haven't actually made anything.
So inventory management
Inventory's massive, unless
with
you're
merchandise
touring.
is important, isn't it?
I only think you should only be worrying about merchandise unless you're planning on one gig in huge amounts, which a lot of bands do want to do, so they want to be out on the road all the time, so that makes sense. Or if you've got tours coming up. If you're, for tellers, for instance, we play 2-3 shows in a year, there is no point us holding loads of merch, because we are never going to turn up with a big box of merch and sell it all out in one go, unless you're on a tour. But if we were to be part of a tour of like 10 dates, then I'd go and get merch available for that.
Are you confident that you're going to get more sales from merchandise, i.e. T-shirts, than you would from box set CDs?
No. I think if you can do the box set CDs are actually now coming back into vogue. There seems to be a whole new generation that are going after CDs now, so I believe that actually there is, and H&V are saying that CD sales are up now. Yeah. And they've seen this transitional trend where people are actually wanting to own something because they get sick and tired of the stream, which is a great news.
Yeah, definitely.
The challenge there is keeping the cost down, because, I mean, for our point of view, for tellers, we had to come up with a unique idea for the CD to make it, if you were on the fence about it, you had to make it a unique option to buy. So something that stood out from what everyone else was doing. Now the problem you've then got is when you come to a second album, you're like, shit, what do we do now? Because we've done that on the first one, so what do you do with the second one to make it unique? But I think for bands out there, it's not a case of just selling T-shirts. And I think there is a way around that. If you really want to be a band that wants to sell lots of merch, you need to come up with a unique T-shirt that's not just a band T-shirt.
Yeah.
You need something that is sellable to everyone that is not even in a band. So if you're not just a fan of extreme death art like that one, it's got to be humorous, it's got to be something that the general public would buy, and then you just tag extreme death art on the end.
Oh, right,
so you turn it into a generic T-shirt, so it's available not just to someone who's a fan of the band.
Yeah.
So you see that online. So if you see a humorous T-shirt, you're like, shit, that's funny, I've got to buy that. And then you just tag the extreme death art on the side of it, so you make it part of your merch range. You just become a clothing manufacturer.
So what you're saying there is a T-shirt that you can wear if you're going out for a Sunday roast with your family, and the death metal logo's on the arm.
You've got
on
the
the front, you've got something that's poignant.
Effectively, you turn your...
Have you got an example of that? Or you...
I'm spitball on my head. So when you raised this thing, I was like, if you really wanted to make money as a merchandiser, you turn your brand your band into a label. You turn it into Fruit of the Loom, effectively. You turn it into a manufacturer.
I think that's what he was saying. You
tag your merchandise. You try to incorporate the stories or your t-shirts into something that relates to the band, but you don't just go, this is a heavy metal t-shirt. You go, this is a t-shirt you could see someone picking up in Primark, for instance, and go, oh, this is a cool looking t-shirt. I like that. It's funny. It's got something that people are going to go, oh, that's an interesting t-shirt. I'd buy that.
Yeah.
Even if they're a Taylor Swift fan, they're like, fucking, that's a brilliant t-shirt. The fact that it says Extreme Death Art on the logo on the site, they would have no idea about that. But that's your brand, that's your logo, and that's revenue for your band. So if you're creative enough to come up with ideas and merchandise ideas, then there is no reason why you couldn't go down that route.
So really,
and generate revenue.
I think what he was saying, t-shirts, you need to look at them as the new CDs. And we know this, there's nothing groundbreaking about that. Andy, let's put it to you, right? Not just your band, any band. What percentage should they be devoting their time to promoting the physical product, vinyl and CD, against, for example, merchandise? Because as you said, the revenue streams, it's hard to diversify. Who has time to go on Twitch and build a following, and you still need to be a good content creator? Mm-hmm. Same with YouTube. So there are so many opportunities, but everyone's in these fields. Iron Maiden, let's use them as an example. Probably a bad example, because you and your friend who said he doesn't even like the last 5 albums, he'll spend £300 on all versions of the album and t-shirts, etc. That's amazing that's happening. But let's just say a mid-tier band that have been around for 5 years, what should they concentrate on if they want to make a living and maximise streams? I
mean, this question, I think, it all depends on what level your band is at and what your aspirations are. But I think, they go hand in hand. You've got to come up with, as you said, Dave, some interesting ideas. And what came to mind when you were talking about that is there's a couple of bands I think of who kind of cheekily steal stylisations and sort of other bands' logos to make it their own, if you know what I mean. I've seen that classic Black Sabbath album, Volume 4, I've seen variations of that, like a sort of a silhouette of what their singer is, not Ozzy, with their logo in that sort of block, in that yellow print with a big white logo sort of horizontally and across and vertically down the side in that style. It's a bit cheeky. And
Abbey Road's a famous one, isn't it, that people have done? I mean, the Chili Peppers famous today, but many bands do that now, don't they?
That might sort of cross the boundaries, as you said, Dave, of people who might want to buy a sort of a cool looking t-shirt who are not necessarily a fan of the band, or they might be a fan of the band who've inspired that design. They've sort of cheekily sort of stolen. As I say, I think you've got to get the right mix and have the right people on board, sort of taking on those tasks of, coming up with t-shirt designs. I mean, we're in that process now. We've got nothing out of it, be it physical media or merchandise, but we're going to start with logo t-shirts, probably 2 variations. But when it comes to sort of recording an album or EP, whatever we decide to do, be it whether it's physical or not, or even just on the stream, you still got to come up with a design, some sort of artwork. Now, do you do that amongst yourselves? Do you call upon friends? Do you sort of put your hand in your pocket and get some professionals in? They're all things you've got to think about. And, a part of that headache of being in a band, what path do you go down? How much time do you devote to, as the question is raised, merchandise, or should we be concentrating on writing new stuff and recording? It's a lot of work.
How much is a standard monthly Spotify subscription now? Because I don't use Spotify. What, £20, £15?
It's crept up. I think it's $10.99. Might even be $11.99.
I mean, just think of that, right? $10.99. You've got access to every song really that's ever been recorded.
Pretty much.
No wonder people are unwilling to buy music.
Yeah.
But if you're saying the CD, we're seeing a resurgence. That's great, because I still buy CDs. Vinyl took off really 15 years ago, didn't it? It's a niche collector's market, very prestigious.
This is another thing, though, to think about, is record labels, PR companies, press outlets, whether they're going to spend any time on your band is depending on what your Spotify hits are.
Yeah, we understand.
And that's really annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Because what they're then saying is that you now need to push your stuff on Spotify and get people to watch it. So or listen to it. And you're like, well, so what you're telling me is I've got to push more people to a platform to get my music for free, where I get no fucking money off of it.
Yeah.
So that you'll support me, rather than push it down a channel where I can make money, but you don't want to see that. The fact that if you've got loads of views on YouTube, they're like, don't give a fuck, what's your Spotify playlist like?
Yeah.
Why is your streaming so low? What I would say around the t-shirt thing is, what's really interesting here is if you're a young band, you do the typical thing, which is you're a new band, you print your t-shirt, you get your label on it, you put your logo on it, and that's how you push it, which means it's only going to be of interest to anyone who's interested in your band. So that's the people that come to your gigs, your friends, your family, which means your sale rate is going to be low.
But do you want people who've got no interest
Hey, I'm
in
still
your
talking
music
it. Shut the
wearing
fuck
your
up.
t-shirt?
I haven't finished my point. Fuck's sake. But as the band gets bigger, you can whack anything on it and people will buy it in more volume. So you could be like The Warning, you could be Iron Maiden, go fuck it, just whack the next label on it, throw another. You don't have to think about it. You can just throw it on there and you'll sell fuckloads.
Yep.
Do that at a young band, you can't do it. So as a young band, you've got to create content or as t-shirts that appeal to a much wider audience, i.e. not your band. If you want to sell merch, you've got to be something that is not just someone who's interested in your band, but you tag it as your band. And then as you get bigger, you can actually simplify your t-shirts to be more focused on your actual band. But in the early stages, you've got to be almost like, we're a t-shirt company, we're a clothing company that's because you've got to think of it, it's a generating revenue. That's what you're doing. You're not doing it because you're just trying to promote your band. You're promoting your band as a brand separately.
I can't imagine if you do.
Never do that.
I've not looked into it, but it is my task to do so. I can't imagine you making much on each unit of a t-shirt. If you want to sell them,
Couple of quid.
You can't have a sort of percentage growth, can you? You can't add on 20, 30, 40, 50%. It's got to be a couple of quid more on what you buy
the
them
margins
for.
are a bit low, aren't they?
Margins are really difficult. T-shirt prices, etc., are much higher. So the only way around that is to buy in bulk and get them printed in bulk, which means you've got to have only a couple of designs, and it's a ridiculous thing to do as a young band. So it doesn't work as a young band.
Yeah, you're holding boxes.
You're better to take a lower margin, sell higher volume, but then you've got to come up with a creative design that appeals to a wider audience.
Let's ask the question. So why?
No, let's not.
No, why are artists? Why are they doing this? They want to make a living out of writing and recording music. So they need to find a way. Now that the market has completely dropped out, for selling physical units, CDs, they need something, don't they? But
it's touring. Touring
is where the money is. But
if you ask any of the musicians out there, the only time they make any sort of money is if they're touring. They need to be on a significant tour. They need to be touring all the time. Bands that used to tour a few months of the year, 2-3 months of the year, and then have some downtime, then work 6 months on an album. They've got 2 weeks to work on an album, and they need to spend at least 9 months on the road, 9 to 10 months on the road, constantly touring. Or you will see big bands who have all got secondary jobs.
yeah,
And that's the thing, is that some of these bands that we have covered on this channel, so one of the massive band in New Zealand, Devilskin, we've covered on this channel. They went out, they just did a massive headline tour, and they were just talking to the guitarist from the band who works in a construction site. He's basically runs his own construction business, and they turned up and they're like, so you're getting ready to go out on tour, and he's there in his digger digging a field, and you're like, and then he's going out on his mates playing in front of 20,000 people on a massive stage, and you're like, it's not a job anymore.
No.
Unless you're someone. And then you see bands and artists like Dino was doing it when we talked to him about Fear Factory. When he wasn't doing Fear Factory, he was off doing Soulfly, and he was doing because he physically can't just go off and do his solo Fear Factory project, finish Fear Factory, and go, I can take a few months off, because he's still got to get money in. And actually, a lot of bands are like, if I'm on the road, then I'm not paying rent. Literally, they whack their stuff in storage. If they can stay on the road, then they've not got they've got no overheads costs. As soon as they come back, they're like, fuck, we've got to rent a place for a month.
Find somewhere to live.
Find somewhere to live. Or they live with friends and they live with family, and then they get back out on the road again. And that's the life of a musician. So
Rock and roll.
The ideas of the 80s and 90s excess, since the internet came in and fucked everyone over, the problem is, the thing like the internet gave exposure to bands, but exposure doesn't pay.
Yeah, it helped consumers. We're all consumers. It absolutely fucked producers, didn't it? Yeah, content artists.
So there we go. So in relation to your question, you've got to focus on it. It's another revenue stream, but it's unfortunately it's not a big revenue stream, and not many bands do it very well. Would be my answer on that.
And really, if you're touring, that's probably going to get your t-shirts in front of people who might want to buy it.
And then you give 20% of your take-ins on your merch to the venue who's already fucked you over already. So there we go. If you enjoyed our video today, please do like, share and subscribe. We'll see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.